simply, keywords are just the building blocks of an online search. These are essentially Lego pieces, right? These are the things that you put together to provide information that's relevant to a search. Keywords are how the search is connected to your content, to your website, to your blog post, your events, certification programs, or catalogs. It's essentially the thing that makes the search work. The way the search engines work is that they will take the keywords that I'm putting in, and they will analyze all of the information online, and they'll present me this relevant results. Whether I'm aware of it or not, I already have keywords in what I'm doing. You know, I may go ahead and just produce stuff online and never think about the SEO, but I'm still producing keywords. You know, the searches are still analyzing our content, whether to see if it's relevant or not. Keywords can be single words or phrases, right? So you can think of a phrase and you could say, let's get this phrase all over our web properties, or you can put words together. And the way that the query works is, and you can actually see it when you Google it, is when you put in a search for certain terms, you can actually see what's called a string at the end of your search, and Google will literally put the words in to say, look for the following words in the search. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many keywords you're in. That's what Google essentially is saying to the internet. Hey, internet, this person on this computer at this time is looking for this information related to these words or phrases. And that's what it presents, right? The keywords that you want to use are always relevant to your main topic. It could be that your topic is too complex to sort of rationalize into just a couple of words, and that's fine. You want to find things that are relevant, right? So, title of this conversation, SEO for Associations. It was the way that I thought was the most relevant way of describing what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide a guideline for search engine optimization for associations. But there's a heck of a lot more information in this conversation than just simply that.
Right.
The keywords that I would use would probably be related to the main topic, right? When I'm writing, or when anyone's writing, you want to use these keywords in a natural manner. You want to use them not so much as buzzwords, but you want to have them show up in sentences in a way that doesn't seem illogical, unnatural, right? And what I mean by that is the search engine is actually looking to see if you're trying to stuff that word in a way that doesn't make sense in the language that you're writing in.
So I was thinking about, like, you know, the areas where you can put in the meta tags that aren't necessarily displayed on the pages, and people would put all kinds of words repeated there, right? Like whatever is their expertise, like you know, a bullfighter or something, and they just put bullfighter in there 20 times, thinking that that somehow would elevate them. You know, did that ever work? And certainly, does it work now?
It doesn't work now. No, not at all. In fact, that meta tag for keywords has less relevancy today than it has ever had.
Really?
You still want to use it, right? It's still a place that you can put that information, but typically the search engines aren't looking at that as a way to determine relevancy, because precisely with your example, people would just repeat that word over and over and over again, or they would do tricks like, oh, I've got a white background, I'm going to put a font in white so you can't see it, and I'll magically put bullfighter, 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 right? So the search engine people are far smarter than we are.
Right.
They are the gatekeepers, and they basically know all the tricks. And so over time, these tags have changed, these ways of doing it has changed. And in fact, Google now has a very regular schedule with the update to their search engine algorithm, and they change everything based on how the public is trying to promote concepts. And they have a very regular change to their search algorithm to basically catch up with the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of SEO tricksters out there who are trying to trick them into providing a results that work.
Yeah.
I'll still use that meta tag, right? Because it's there.
Right.
But I'll put 3 words in it.
Right.
I'll keep my keywords to a bare minimum. And they also, with the way that they're looking at language too, if I have clunky language that I'm presenting as text, not only will that annoy the reader who will walk away from the page to say, hey, this person can't speak, can't write well,
Mm-hmm.
the algorithm will also see that something is out of context. So just use it in a natural way. Like for example, I have a presentation on SEO for associations. I'm not going to start each one of my sentences saying SEO for associations this, SEO for associations that. Hey, have you heard about SEO for associations? Right? I won't do that because it's just not a fluid way of talking or writing. But I'll make sure I'll go back in my content to say, have I at least said SEO for associations in some way?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's part of the ranking. But if I do it too much, you'll get penalized.
Right, right. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Last point on this for just keywords in terms of introducing it is if you don't know, look, right? When we're working with trade associations, we will look at the competitive websites, and I'll do a fairly thorough look at keywords to see how they're being presented on other web pages. We'll use certain tools, but also just go into Google and just Google things,
Right.
right? So I'll just kind of go in there and I'll kind of do sort of a comparative analysis of here's how these keywords work, here's how these keywords work. And people will often ask, why aren't we ranking for this? Why aren't we ranking for that? And typically I can determine that by looking at the keywords to see, okay, we're not really competitive in that space. This other association has the pole position because they actually are using these keywords in a certain way. So it's all free. It's all available. Yes, there are tools you can pay for. Yes, there are groups that will do this for you, but you as a person can just go to an online browser and search yourself. Is the notion that your keywords are effectively an elevator pitch. The keywords are the key sell that you're making on a page or on a PDF or in a blog post or in a social media post. These are essentially what you're doing to sell, and you have a very limited time to sell your knowledge of these words. Right? So what this elevator pitch does is it basically helps that search engine to find your site and provides a summary of the content. Pre-COVID days, I'm in an elevator and I meet you and we're talking about something. I've got 5, maybe 10 seconds to provide you with some information, whether you want to keep talking to me when we leave the elevator or you can't wait to get away from me because I'm talking about something that has no relevancy to you, right? That's what you're doing with keywords. You just don't know it. You just don't get those visual clues. Hey, man, stop talking about SEO for association. I'm not into it, right? So that's your elevator pitch. That's your summary. That's the way in which a search engine can see whether or not you're relevant. So I'm using another snippet here on the slide where you can see where I actually searched for one of our partner organizations, the fine folks at Association Forum. And I actually just searched, not looking at their website, but I just said, hey, Google, give me information about Association Forum. And I used just 2 words, association and forum, right? So when I did that, you can kind of see on that snippet, and you can see when you're going in a browser, that anytime those words are used, Google is kind of putting it out, and then they're also putting it out, and in the text, they're bolding the words, So clearly, in this case, our partners, Association Forum, want to promote themselves. That's the name of their organization. If we were helping them or we were helping any other trade association, we wouldn't want to stuff that word too much, kind of like how we were just talking about there with, bullfighters wanting to say I'm a bullfighter 15 times or hiding it in white 12-point text or whatever. Keep your keywords to a minimum. Try to keep it to 2 to 3 per campaign, per effort, and try never to have more than 5. And the reason I say that is mostly just due to the economy of scale. You'll start chasing after random things and you'll never get anything done. You want to really keep it focused. I kind of think of it as you have primary keywords, you have secondary keywords, and then you have, you only live once, right? You're like, well, let's try this one and see what happens. But you really want to kind of keep your keywords limited. And again, this is an example of how keywords are used to promote the association forum. Hey, great, I found the appropriate results. Bang, I go to that website.